How much baggage can one candidate carry? Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. In the state of Maine, watching Graham Plattner run for Senate has been an experience unlike any other. Plattner is central casting to run against an incumbent as boring as Susan Collins. He poses himself as an oyster farmer, Marine veteran populist who hates billionaires and is pushing for single-payer health care. He's very critical of both political parties. That does actually play well in a state like Maine. He certainly looks the part, right? In the state of Maine, rural state. But it's become all too clear that Graham Plattner is a manufactured candidate as well as just a walking disaster. And this story just keeps getting wilder. The latest scandal from the Wall Street Journal and New York Times both revealing last summer when Plattner launched his Senate bid, his wife contacted one of his campaign aides to flag to them that she had caught her husband graphically sexting with multiple women. Was worried that that might hurt this new budding campaign for Senate. Plattner had apparently been heavily screwing around just 2 years into his marriage, and it's become just the latest disaster for the wild campaign of this man. And with his wife in tow on Sunday, his response to this was quite interesting. Take a listen.
Surprised to me that the establishment media outlets are just going to run gossip instead of wanting to talk about the things that actually matter. These people are going to try to make this race about anything but what it's supposed to be about, which is policy. Amy and I have a very loving and very happy marriage. They would very much like to try to rip that apart. The Wall Street Journal and the New York Times ran stories without any evidence besides the gossip from a former staffer. I'm sorry, that's frankly journalistic malpractice.
So you never met with her about uncomfortable, for lack of a better word, sexting messages as the campaign was going?
We talked about things in Amy and I's marriage that we've gone through over the years.
So when they get to the core of the allegation, after all of that, you don't actually get a denial. Plattner claims it's a lie, but then doesn't deny the core of the allegation at all, which is a very common politician's trick. The claim of a lie could be about some specific nuance of the story, and then you just say lie, and you actually are calling out a lie when the larger story is actually completely factual. Plattner has also sent his wife out to try and cover for him in this situation, which sounds like a total nightmare for a woman that's been married to you for 3 years. Here's Amy Gertner, also not denying her husband's many likely dalliances.
I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on. I just really wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Graham and I have a great marriage. Being married is hard. Being newly married is hard.
I can understand that, but that's not a denial at all. Plattner's wife, not as good at the political trickery as Graham is, who's been through several scandals already. And again, not here to judge somebody else's marriage, but this just adds on to an already enormous pile. In addition to wild comments about race, rape, and self-identifying as a communist, Plattner's entire identity also appears manufactured. Playing off as a blue-collar oyster farmer and a former harbor master, claiming he controlled maritime activity at a port. In reality, he did little more than clerical work as he worked there. Plattner's job as an oyster farmer, he says, well, it's actually a partnership with a buddy who owns an entire island that holds this farm, and it's been described as a boutique hobby farm, supplying oysters to Plattner's mom's restaurant. Why? Because Graham Plattner is a rich kid and really have much to do. That's why he can run for Senate. His father, an attorney, bought Plattner the house that he lives in, all cash deal. Thanks, Dad. This is the guy that's screaming about there being too much money at the top. He would certainly know. You begin to realize that Graham Plattner is just another actor. He's done a calculation and knows what he needs to say to win over enough voters in Maine, a populist message that will bring moderate Republicans away from Susan Collins. It's a good idea. Politically, it works. In reality, though, he thinks rural Americans are just dumb racists. He's just another lefty. Nothing more, nothing less. in a purple state that leans a little bit to the right. And after all that, you still have the Nazi tattoo, which, again, the Totenkopf branded on the SS concentration camp guards. There is just no getting around how insane the fact that this man had this tattoo really is. As explained here on a network that's actually rooting for Graham Plattner to win this election.
The problem is his judgment, which he clearly has been lacking in as an adult. It's one thing to have foolish, youthful indiscretions, but I'm sorry, you cannot get past. It is not a Nazi-style tattoo. It is the tattoo of concentration camp guards. It is the very worst tattoo you can get.
Concentration camp guards. Yeah, this is a guy that's got more baggage than you could possibly imagine. What we're realizing is Plattner's entire political identity has been manufactured on top of all of these disasters, as inauthentic as the people supporting him. Look at what they're capable of ignoring. Think about the left right now as they face all of the reality of who this guy is. Think about what they're all capable of ignoring to continue to show up to his rallies. The same people who've been screaming bloody murder about Donald Trump for years now are fully capable of ignoring the most outrageous scandals about this man, because this man might be the one who can flip the Senate and take out Susan Collins. And albeit fake, he's got the right aesthetics, he's got the right tone to actually do it. Take a listen.
Brothers and sisters, comrades and compatriots, fellow Mainers, today I am angry. I am angry watching laws be selectively enforced in our communities, watching the institutions that are supposed to protect us fail to do so.
Yeah. From a guy that got a free house from his dad. Plattner currently leads Susan Collins by around 10 points in this race because, again, aesthetically, he's exactly what the people have. It's kind of like acting. It's like you put the right candidate into the role and you can probably win if they're a good enough actor. He's winning, 9 points up. And to some on the left, nothing else but that will actually matter. Take a listen to this take on the Nazi tattoo from a woman who runs a Democrat grassroots organization.
He seems like a flawed person who's been through some and come out the other side. I don't think he's a Nazi, for what it's worth. I think he was a drunk Marine in Croatia, and when you walk into a tattoo parlor there in the time period he was there, basically anything you picked off the wall would have been problematic.
Now, Miss, would you still feel the same about that if Graham Plattner, say, didn't support abortion until the 10th trimester, whatever it is today for the Democrats? I suspect she'd be enraged and offended and furious and all those other things. We should remind you, by the way, though, that Croatia, where he got the tattoo, was one of the most critical allies of Nazi Germany in the Second World War. So that just adds to the fun of that tattoo. Remember all this the next time they flip out over a Donald Trump tweet like Senator Chris Murphy does all the time.
I have not followed this story as closely as others have, but I mean, Graham Plattner is somebody that served our country. He served his community. He's also made mistakes, and he has admitted that. This race is going to be a contrast between somebody that has put his life on the line for this country against somebody that is literally empowering the moral hollowing out of our nation from the White House.
Just remember that all the outrage is always fake, and it's all just a big TV show in Washington. The only thing these people are actually offended by is the idea that they might not have any power. They can digest really anything else. Mercedes Schlapp joins us now. Mercy, a rich kid, self-identified communist, marginalized as rape, racist comments, fake oyster farmer, Nazi SS tattoo, likely having multiple affairs in a brand new marriage. How would you like to run that campaign?
Let me tell you, they must be in complete crisis mode right now, which is why, what do? You send the wife out first to try to defend the husband. That was the first video that came out. We saw that Plattner canceled a couple of media interviews today as well. He's supposed to meet with these Democrat senators. Some of them are very suspicious about Plattner, including Senator Cory Booker. And so I think this really raises a lot of problems for the Democrat Party that's made a decision to say, hey, we're going to take whoever is going to be running, even if they are a socialist or a communist or make racist comments, as long as they can beat the Republican and, of course, try to defeat Donald Trump's agenda.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you also have at the same time you have Janet Mills, who's the state's governor, has been out there reminding people, even just today, that she is not off the ballot, that she's just suspended her campaign, that she's still there in case the party wants to make a quick flip and put her up against Susan Collins, which is telling.
Well, sounds like a Biden-Kamala Harris saga part 2. Look, I got to tell you, if I were Susan Collins, I would want this type of story to come out closer to when early voting starts, closer to September when people are paying attention to this election. I think that Plattner's trying to survive the news cycle, see if he can get through this. But I think one scandal after another, it's very hard to survive these types of, vicious media cycles. Yeah,
and that's my next question as I just bring up yet one more scandal he's facing. He has what's called a Kik account. I don't know what this is. It's K-I-K. It's an anonymous messaging site. I guess most of the people on it are kids, like 13 to 24, so just young people, high school, maybe into college. The National Center for Sexual Exploitation flags this as crawling with criminals, saying it was predators' paradise for grooming kids. The profile for Graham Plattner, who is, by the way, 41 years old and is on this site, he has a profile, and it's him wearing no shirt in the bathroom, only wearing a towel. So you add that onto the pile of everything else I just listed off. But I guess the question is, can he survive all of that? I mean, because you've got Susan Collins is kind of a boring person to vote for.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to have a tough time surviving. We have seen that he's up by 9 points right now, but it's so early in the race, Rob. Anything can happen. And I think that the Democrats have to reevaluate and say, are we going to invest our money and our time with a very, what I would say, scandal-ridden candidate who's going to have to spend more time trying to defend, whether it's being his racist comments, whether it's a Nazi tattoo. I mean, he survived the Nazi tattoo. That's what I don't understand. This is where you have to ask yourself, goodness gracious, can the people of Maine wake up and say, is this a guy we want representing us in Washington? And I think he's a fraud. Plattner is a fraud. That's what,
to me, is more interesting is that he's made up this whole persona, right? That he's just a rich kid. That, to me, is more harmful than all the other nonsense because, people have gotten kind of tired of cancel culture in that way. But when you show people, oh, he's not this thing. He's just a kid who got a free house from his dad, who doesn't even really work right now because he's running for Senate. He doesn't have any needs. He's not worried about money like you are. All this it's all just a manufactured campaign. So I think that might be more damaging. I got to leave it there.
I agree with you.
Mercy, good to see you as always. Thanks so much. Another scandal that has rocked Plattner's campaign has been resurfaced Reddit posts like this one, commenting on a video of U.S. troops and a firefighter with the Taliban. Plattner wrote about one particular soldier, the dumb mother effer, didn't deserve to live. At least his stupidity and fat blank wheezing are available for all future infantrymen to witness and hold in contempt. Poor marksmanship on the Taliban's part is the only reason this mouth breather made it home. That's a Reddit post from 2019 from Graham Plattner. He was referring to Army combat veteran Teddy Daniels, who survived multiple gunshot wounds and broken bones from this firefight after his squad was ambushed. Daniels was later awarded a Purple Heart for his service, and Teddy Daniels joins us now, and we appreciate you coming on, sir. Good signal from the moving car. Thanks for coming on. I want to just get your reaction to Graham Plattner's political ascent after what you know about him.
Well, I think he's a gift. He's an absolute gift to Republicans and independents alike to show the absolute hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. Oh, Nazi tattoo, yeah, that's fine. Cheating on his wife, yeah, that's fine. Oh, daddy paid for everything? Cool, that's fine. Lied about his upbringing? Cool, that's fine. Disparages wounded veterans? No problem. And it's like, I'm done with the hypocrisy. I don't want to hear another person who is supporting this person say anything negative ever again about Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got Elizabeth Warren called him her kind of man. I mean, he realized all they care about is power. That's it. If he can win, he's fine.
Well, and I think by proxy, he's turned this into a campaign, not against Susan Collins, but against Donald Trump. And that's the way that his supporters, if it's crazy that people can support this, that his supporters are actually looking at too, is this is a referendum for them, for the extreme 1% of the left against the president of the United States and everything that they'll excuse to make that happen.
Purple Heart veteran Teddy Daniels, thank you, sir, for your service and for coming on. We appreciate you.
God bless you, sir. Thank you.
All right, God bless you. Chaos at a Jersey ICE facility continues as the state's governor completely humiliates herself. We'll explain that coming up. And then later in news from the left, 2 Jewish lesbians learn the hard truth about the woke left.
Donald Trump's second presidency is changing America. Now you need to watch Rob Schmitt Tonight on President Trump's next big move. Then tune into Rob Finnerty taking on Trump's critics. President Trump says he watches Newsmax. You should too. Download our Newsmax app to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax. Be one.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
He's breathing. Okay, go again.
Nearly 5,000 people die from choking each year. That's frightening. I'm Dr. Ben Carson.
And I'm Arthur Lee. Well, there are ways to help prevent choking. Accidents do happen. That's why I invented the Life Rack.
Anyone can use this device, and it can save a life in seconds.
Just place, push, and pull. It's that simple. Please order one for your home, office, car, anywhere you eat.
Go to lifehack.net or call 877-543-3822.
Mike Hammond of Signal Relief. We've helped nearly 700,000 feel relief in their back, shoulders, and knees with our technology. But for many of us, it's our feet that hurt. And when they hurt, our walks get shorter, activities are skipped, and the moments we love start slipping away. That's why we created the Signal Step, a patent-pending insole built using the same proven technology people already trust from Signal Relief. Signal uses no drugs. There's nothing on the market like it. It's relief without the side effects. It's reusable, fits virtually into any shoe, and in a recent study, over 85% felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Feel relief with every step. If you're hurting, go to signalstep.com and get relief today.
All right, welcome back. So this absolutely ridiculous situation at this ICE facility in New Jersey is continuing tonight. At least 20 were arrested during weekend riots outside of Delaney Hall in Newark. This is where they're holding illegals that are being processed for deportation. You have masked communists being paid, coming in from out of state, clashing with law enforcement, including ICE and Sheriff's Department, everything you can find in New Jersey. And it has become quite clear that the feds need to shut this whole thing down, the insanity down outside of this facility once and for all. It's gone way too far. This is not a protest, not even anything close to it. Sarah Williamson is live from Delaney Hall in Newark, and the sun's still up, so probably still somewhat calm, right? Sarah, go ahead.
Rob, I'm not sure. I feel like I may have just lost you, but I think I did hear my name. So just want you to check this out now, because you mentioned that this needs to be shut down, and that looks like that is kind of what's happening. Since the state police rolled in on Friday night, the temperature has certainly settled today. You can see now that they have just brought out those new barricades on the left-hand side too, which have now blocked the remaining protesters in. Now, these roads, these people all have to leave by 9 p.m. as well. All roads that lead to Delaney Hall have been shut down, as you can see. And at 9 p.m., anyone within a half-a-mile perimeter of Delaney Hall will be arrested. But still, there are a handful of protesters, which you can see here, who are really just kind of hanging around. They're not that active. They don't really have a lot to say or do, and because they cannot get close enough to the facility or to the agents that work there. So from my experience over the week, we have seen it get violent every single night. But now with these barricades up and that 9 p.m. curfew, things are starting to look a little different, and who knows what will happen tonight and if this may fizzle all out.
Got to shut this thing down. Sarah, thanks. We appreciate that report.
We really feel like adding ICE to this situation has made things less safe. I will not give ICE a pretext to expand operations at Delaney Hall or across our state. I will not put lives at risk. I'm grateful to the vast majority of protesters who have assembled peacefully.
So the new governor of New Jersey has made quite a fool of herself. That's Mikey Sherrill right there, demonizing ICE in recent days. Sherrill spun up a lot of this chaos that we've been seeing with a publicity stunt visiting that facility recently. And as the situation got more chaotic, she then decided to set a curfew and deployed New Jersey State Police to the facility after saying that ICE was the problem and they were the danger. She sends her own cops in an effort to quell these riots because, again, according to her, ICE is the problem, right? Well, no surprise, the Marxist rioters that have been outside of Delaney Hall simply attacked the cops that she sent in to try and make things more peaceful. Because, again, it's not about ICE with these people. It's about ending all law enforcement. That's what they really want. This is a Marxist move. And now the governor who went to threaten ICE at Delaney Hall is now scolding the rioters that she was pandering to just a week ago.
I knew it would be better to have them handle the situation rather than ICE. That's why we called them in and created a protected, peaceful protest area outside of Delaney Hall. But over the last 2 nights, that protected zone has been violated repeatedly. We saw masked individuals attack the barrier, taking aggressive, dangerous actions against Newark and New Jersey State Police. They threw projectiles, they used barriers as weapons, and lit tires on fire in the street.
Oh, you mean the far left rioters didn't act the way you wanted them to? Are you surprised? Hakeem Jeffries and a delegation of House Democrats also visited this facility over the weekend to play politics as well. Take a listen.
Here in America, immigration enforcement should be fair, just, and humane. That's not what's going on here at Delaney Hall. We spoke to several individuals, none of whom has a criminal record. The lack of access to quality food, that's not America. Delaney Hall should be shut down. They're engaging in a depraved indifference to human life. And every single member of this Trump administration is going to be held accountable.
Yet again, the people that dumped 20 million people into your country over 4 years are just so enraged at the idea of sending them back home. Notably, one of those with Hakeem Jeffries is Congressman Rob Menendez, who is the son of Gold Bar Senator Bob Menendez, the former senator from New Jersey who's in prison for corruption. You also had LaMonica there, the linebacker LaMonica, who's still facing felony charges for forcibly impeding and trying to barrel over federal officers outside Delaney Hall back over the course of the winter. Remember this video? All right, Republican New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew actually toured Delaney Hall today and joins us from there now. And Congressman, good to have you back on. I want to start with this. Why is ICE putting up with this? I mean, the patience that they have had for these people. We're watching these videos. This is no longer a protest. This is an insurrection. I think a lot of people would say it's time to put this thing down once and for all. What do you say?
It's a shame. It's just such a shame to see. I want to thank our good members of the New Jersey State Police, the Newark Police, folks in ICE and Homeland Security for doing a job. They're doing the right thing. They are showing extreme, caution and being very careful. And again, we need to appreciate them because this is out of hand. I believe in First Amendment rights, but this is violent protests. People are going to get hurt. It's the wrong thing. It's Antifa. It's George Soros, and nobody's local. These are people they gathered from all over the country.
Right. Yeah. They're obviously a lot of these are paid agitators. A lot of the arrests are coming from out of the state, which again shows there's a larger narrative at play here that they're trying to push, and these are just the pawns. But at what point should our officers say we're shutting this down? No more of this. Just round them all up and end this, because how long can we let this go on?
Well, hopefully it's getting a little bit better. I certainly hope that it is. And what is being done is we are at that point, and that's why there was over 60 people arrested last night. And again, many of them, when you track where they came from, weren't local. So we're getting there. Peacefully protest away. Not peaceful, you should be arrested, period.
What's your message to your new governor? Mikey Sherrill goes to Delaney Hall last week, tries to stir it up, tries to antagonize ICE and kind of pander to the protesters. And now she sends in her own cops, and they're being attacked.
Well, you know what? It's my message to those on the left, whether it's the governor, whether it is my fellow members from Congress that have been there. Stop faking everybody out. Tell the truth. The truth is the facility is clean. It has medical care, dental care. It has meals for those with allergies. It has actually treated those people, many of them, better than they were ever treated in their life. Right. They have recreation areas, indoor and outdoor. It's unbelievable. And yet the left says how horrible it is. It is not. They are being treated very, very, very humanely. Cut it out. Stop the bad political theater.
Hakeem Jeffries said the conditions of confinement that he witnessed shocked the conscious, saying the violent Trump massive deportation machine has targeted American citizens and law-abiding immigrant families, including the minors, parents, and pregnant women who have been detained at Delaney Hall. How does that description measure up to what you saw today?
He's exaggerating. He's misinforming. He's doing the wrong thing. And you know what I worry about? There are homeless veterans. There are veterans that still aren't able to have homes or have problems. Good Americans who stood for, fought for, and served our nation. These folks are being treated better. And if anybody doesn't like it, here's the deal. The United States government will pay and help you to go back to the country you came from or another country. So if it was so bad, these people would be wanting to leave. They don't want to go anywhere. Many of them have never had it so good in their life.
It's such a con. The way they're trying to play this game, again, after dumping 20 million people in our country in 4 years. Congressman, it's good to have you on. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Coming up, the latest on the complexities of ending this war in Iran.
Think of all the places that could expose you to identity theft and financial loss. It only takes one mistake at your bank, hospital, or employer for a criminal to gain access to your personal information. And if they do, you and your money are at risk.
$110,000 of my hard-earned money gone.
With LifeLock, if your identity is compromised, we'll step in and fix it so you don't have to. Guaranteed. Our dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialists handle your case from start to finish. They contact institutions on your behalf, dispute fraudulent charges, and more. In fact, we're so confident that restoration is guaranteed. Plus, LifeLock offers the $1 Million Protection Package with coverage up to $3 million.
When I opened my mail and I had a check from LifeLock, they made me whole.
Call now or go online and use promo code 35OFF to save 35% off an annual plan for your first year. Enroll now.
Sir, he's here to see you.
So, are you ready to join forces?
PCMag provides complete protection for your computer and smartphone against malware and ransomware, and it's 100% American-made and supported security.
Today, Cyberman and his unknown partner delivered a massive victory, protecting homes, businesses, and federal devices from ransomware.
Get protected now at PCMatic.com.
What if losing a pair of sunglasses was actually fine? That's why we built Shady Rays. Every pair of Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection, but no matter what happens, whether you drop them in a lake, a wave gets them, they're covered with lost and broken protection.
Ever wished you could brew your own beer, but figured it was too complicated, too messy, too much effort? Well, now you can. Meet Pinter, the home beer system everyone's talking about. Fresh beer, brewed and tapped by you. No fuss, no guesswork, just brew, chill, tap, done. You can craft 12 pints with every brew. Crisp lager, juicy and hoppy IPAs, smooth stouts. Plus, brew beers from top craft breweries you know and love. From the first tap to the last toast, hosting just got an upgrade. Nothing beats sharing your own fresh beer with friends. You don't need a garage brewery. You don't need a chemistry set. You just need a Pinter. Right now, get your Pinter free when you join our flexible beer plan. Choose your beers, brew fresh at home, and tap into the world's best beer experience. Free Pinter. Freshly brewed beer. Zero fuss. Go to pinter.com/spring to claim your offer today.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
Welcome back. Interesting comment today from the president calling out Iran's delay tactics on a call with a CNBC reporter, saying in regards to negotiations with Iran, if they're over, they're over. Frankly, I thought they started to get very boring. The fragile ceasefire negotiations are holding for now, despite a weekend of the U.S. and Iran actually firing weapons at each other. CENTCOM updating, the U.S. conducted self-defense strikes on Iranian radar and command and control sites for drones in Gorak and Keshem Island this weekend. Maleki is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Blaine Holt, Newsmax contributor, retired brigadier general in the U.S. Air Force. Good to have you both here. Blaine, if the president says he's getting bored with the negotiations, and he's talking this way, he's very aware that this is all just a drag it out kind of situation. Where does that leave us here?
In pretty good shape, actually. If you recall last week when we were talking, Rob, the president is putting behind the scenes all the pieces into place because the Iranian regime, or what's left of it, is divided up into three segments. You've got what's left of the tattered ayatollahs. They're insignificant and irrelevant. You've got the foreign minister who is speaking for the country and the parliament speaker. And then you have the IRGC, which has weapons. So we're going to take away their military ability. We're going to take away their weapons. And behind the scenes, there's going to still be what happens on the other side of this. I believe the model looks a lot like the Venezuelan model. There's just a lot underway, a lot that we can't see. My sources in the Pentagon tell me that everything is going in the right direction.
So there's a lot that we're just not seeing and not hearing about in the president. That would kind of explain why the president's been acting the way that he's been acting towards this. Mia, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think it's just the regime's playbook, right? I mean, they want to drag their feet. They want to buy time. They want to see if they can drag their feet until there's a new administration in D.C. with less interest in the issue of Iran or wanting to take a different approach. But here's the thing. You know, I grew up in Iran. You know, I was born and raised there before I came to the U.S. and joined the government and served in the Air Force and then Treasury Department. And, you know, what I remember from my childhood very well is that every time we went to the bazaar to shop to buy clothes with my parents before Nowruz, before Iranian and Persian New Year, you know, my dad used to go in to ask us to not show interest in what we wanted. And if we didn't show interest in what we wanted, then my dad was able to actually negotiate, get a good deal. So I think by President Trump, by saying that he's not really into a deal right now and he's not in rush, then that's going to put us in a better position in negotiations. And the fact is, their economy is close to collapse. It hasn't collapsed yet. Every day that the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, they're losing about $435 million in trade, in import and export. Iranians need more than anyone else right now for the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened. Yeah. So even if we stay there, if you pick the blockade, they're going to have to open up the Strait of Hormuz for their own economy and to repair the diplomatic relationship with the Gulf states that they really rely on.
So, Blaine, I'm confused, though, because it was just a week ago that the president was talking about a deal that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, that would end the blockade as well for Iran. Was all of that not ever really on the table? Was that all just a ruse? And the reality is they're just going to go after the IRGC and try and take over the country?
No. I think the president was reporting faithfully. It's just that if he was to out Pezeshkian, who seemingly resigned, and the two ministers I just talked about, think about where they would be around the IRGC right now if they were seen to be cutting a deal to get to the final game plan with the United States. The IRGC, by the way, who seems to be missing its commanding general Vahidi at this point in time. He doesn't seem to be very much alive. They would just go put bullets in these guys' heads. And so they've got to get through this. There is no economy. The oil's being dumped into the straits. We're going to go clean this up. But we have to be very careful because we don't want a compliant government to get nailed as we go through these tricky places. And so the information warfare, it's going to wage on. It's going to be very confusing this week, like I said.
So take a lot of what you hear, Blaine, with a grain of salt.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, but it's going well.
Okay. All right. I got to leave it there on time. Miad, good to see you guys. Thanks so much, Blaine. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. The L.A. mayoral primary is tomorrow as Spencer Pratt surges in the polls. That is up next.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news. No spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finnerty, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
What if I told you you can get a brand new metal roof from Erie Home for 50% off the installation? Now you can. Our metal roofs are proven to withstand 120 miles per hour wind and 2-inch hail, all backed by a 50-year warranty. Call now for your free estimate.
If you're concerned about inflation, government debt, or the value of the dollar, you're not alone. Right now, more Americans are turning to physical gold and silver to help protect their savings. I'm Dean Heskett, President and CEO of Swiss America. For over 40 years, our family-owned company has helped investors protect their wealth through economic uncertainty. But when gold prices rise, something else happens too. New dealers suddenly appear overnight. Big promises, no track record, and too often no accountability. Swiss America has been serving customers since 1982, delivering physical metals, fair pricing, and straight answers. No pressure, no games. If you're considering adding gold or silver to your portfolio, call or text Swiss America and request your free report on protecting wealth with precious metals. When you work with a firm that stood the test of time, you know who you're dealing with today, tomorrow, and years from now. Our experienced team will answer your questions with no obligation. Call or text the number on your screen or visit our website. Experience matters. Trust is earned.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags are actually made overseas.
If there's one thing that deserves to be made here in America, it should start with the American flag.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America, by Americans, with American materials.
Join our pledge to make the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed, and you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
I wish I wasn't afraid to smile.
I wish I could get implants.
I wish I knew who to trust.
I'm not looking for another quick fix.
I want a smile I know will last.
Clear Choice smiles are made to stand the test of time. They're built by dental implant experts.
Backed by 20 years of pioneering research and a lifetime warranty on premium arches. Our smiles are built for life. Schedule your free consultation today.
Took me 3 years to get the solar turned on. Solar, something they want you to have.
But now they're taxing you, I think, for having it.
They are?
I think so.
What do you mean you think so? You have to know.
I don't need to know about solar,
Okay,
I need to focus on making sure the moms are safe and the animals are not being abused.
If you're the mayor, you are going to have to learn some of these issues more.
Solar panels. We're about 3 years from worrying about solar panels. We need to get all the naked drug addicts off of the sidewalks, and then I can worry about solar panels.
You got to like this guy, right? That's Spencer Pratt on Bill Maher's podcast, hammering the nonsense. Yeah, we'll get to solar panels. Let's clean the city up first. New polling, McLaughlin Associates shows the former reality TV star has surged in the polls. He's now leading the field in this three-way race. Again, though, the complication is in this best of two thing, you add the other two radical Democrats together, and it's tough, right? But he should easily survive tomorrow. He wants to win tomorrow. He'd have to get to 51 for that. We'll see what happens. Pratt also brutally shaming his competition. Look at this video that he posted today, a video of a homeless man with a shopping cart right next to a ballot box. I mean, it's perfect. He says, I don't even need to make campaign ads anymore. Karen and Nithya just keep making them for him. And yeah, you got to step over a homeless drug addict just to put your ballot in the box. Who'd you vote for? So can he pull it off is the question. Actor Dean Cain fled Los Angeles. He's the host of a brand new podcast called The Homeland. Gloria Romero is a California candidate for lieutenant governor. Good to have you both here. Dean, did they destroy L.A. enough that a Republican actually has a chance?
Boy, I hope so. I hope that the Republican has a shot.
Right.
They definitely have destroyed LA. It's why I left 3 years ago. It's been awful. I love Spencer's ads. I love his common sense. I love his call for change because I think California needs it so badly. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. He is a change candidate. And so I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to see it at the governor level as well with Steve Hilton and Ms. Romero, who's sitting right there next to me on the screen. I'd love to see it happen. I know he'll get to the runoff, and I hope that things break and he gets a chance to lead Los Angeles. We need a change.
You know, Gloria, you're a former Democrat. You're now running, as a Republican, as kind of a common sense candidate for lieutenant governor, hopefully to be attached to Steve Hilton. I love this. There's a wake-up call from Spencer Pratt here about how the system and how the political system, more specifically in California, how rigged it is and how it really works. Take a listen to this.
What's happening is we tax these people, and then other rich people, the champagne socialists, scammers, steal that money because they're all connected to the people taxing them. And then the people that should see the money, the communities, after the Boys and Girls Clubs, the parks, the actual infrastructure doesn't see that money because different rich people stole the money that was being taxed from the rich people.
You know, when I think about the NGOs, when I think about the climate stuff, any nonprofit, homeless, I think about all these things. That's exactly where your mind goes. I mean, you were a Democrat. Talk to us about how that system, that just nefarious system between private and between the tax dollars, how that was created, how warped it is.
Well, thank you so much. It's so good to be with you and with Superman as well. So great. We are at a critical time in California, and in Los Angeles is really ground zero. Spencer Pratt is the perfect person for this time because, I was a Democrat. I saw what he is now articulating, and what Spencer is breaking through is just saying common sense. That clip that you showed where he talked with Bill Maher about, look, I'll address these other issues about solar panels, all these other issues, but we've got to deal with the naked drug dealers, the people that are drilling meth. I mean, the crime on the street. That's exactly it. What I saw in Sacramento was one where it's very Orwellian. They talk in circles. They don't get right to the point. And this is a time right now where Los Angeles voters and Californians are speaking up and saying, enough with all the covering up, the Band-Aids. Let's cut to the chase. Let's deal with the problems before us. And those those non-government organizations are a major part of the grift in California.
It's so bad. When you look at how that system works, it's so bad, and so many people are getting rich off of it, and that's the worst part. Dean, if he doesn't get to 51 tomorrow, he's got months to kind of figure out a new path. But I think he really wants to pull it off early and have that split between Rahman and Bass help him get there. What do you think happens?
I think that'd be unbelievable. What happened with Chad Bianco? Did he not? Is he out now? Because they split that side of the vote as well.
Yeah.
I don't know that he gets to 51 tomorrow. I hope he does. But I imagine it's going to go to a runoff between he and Bass. And we'll see what happens there. I hope people wake up. I think he's gaining tremendous momentum, and people are talking about it more and more and more. And he's getting a lot of national attention. But California, you need a change. You can't continue doing the same thing we've been doing. He's common sense. It's straightforward. I never thought I would say this, but I'm 100% in for Spencer Pratt.
Yeah, you never thought you'd say it. I want to throw one more at you guys before I let you go. This is the state of California spending millions. Free solar panels, refrigerators, and windows to low-income farm workers, including illegal aliens. This is part of that grift. This is from City Journal. Since 2019, California's government has earmarked $49 million for the farm worker program. Part of California's sprawling multi-billion-dollar cap-and-trade system taxes carbon producers and redistributes approximately $3 billion a year to energy programs and left-wing social causes, all under the banner of fighting climate change. Gloria, we were just talking about this is a great example of what they've managed to dream up in a state that has so much wealth. Let's see how much of it we can waste.
It is incredible. I often feel that I am living in the Babylon Bee version of California.
Exactly.
It is incredible. You know, we've identified about $450 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse. We haven't found the Leering centers, but we have found the hospice centers that are actually located in a burrito joint. So if you think you're dying, check into a burrito joint and maybe have the carnitas on the way out to the next world. It's unbelievable. So that's part of the anger from everyday Californians, just saying we see it. Stop raising taxes. Stop talking about solar panels and everybody else. Focus on everyday Californians. That bullet train to nowhere, stop it, pull the plug, not one track late. It's just total grift. And the people have had it. So Spencer, Hilton, myself, to the rescue.
Yeah, it's something needs to change. Dean, if I got 10 seconds left, if he wins, you go back?
Well, if he wins and they can implement changes, which I think is so important for Governor Hilton, if he wins, that he has Gloria on his team because she knows the ins and outs. She knows where the bodies are buried, and that might get it done. We'll see.
We'll see. Gloria Romero, Dean Cain, good to have you both. Thanks, guys. We're watching California this week. All right, Dr. Jill on why Hunter got the big pardon from Dad after Dad said he wouldn't. Up next in News from the Left.
And I think that the process was not fair to Hunter.
Is it just the mustache? No, it's all of it. It's the way he brings me wood to keep us nice and warm. And it's the way he brings me a fresh cup of Black Rifle coffee.
Honey, you having a Riley Green dream again?
Just give me 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Honey! Riley's taking me duck hunting.
Oh, come on!
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
The road to greatness is long, but greatness isn't just forged from within. It has to be proven on the greatest stage of all.
The hype is real! This is the moment we have all been waiting for.
If you want to be ready for summer, now's the time to call Sonobello. Sonobello helped me target the spots that diet and exercise never could.
Sonobello gave me my bikini body back.
At Sono Bello, our expert surgeons remove stubborn fat permanently and tighten loose skin in one visit with less downtime. Every treatment plan is personalized for your body, your goals, and the results that you want to achieve.
Walking around this summer with my shirt off, it's the best decision I've ever made.
I see my spark back, and I am so glad that I went with Sono Bello because they have truly changed my life.
With over 50,000 five-star reviews, Sono Bello is America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
I love wearing a bikini again and not having to cover up.
See what's possible for you. Schedule your free consultation today.
I got my summer body at Sono Bello. Get your summer body back. Do this for you.
And our flexible payment options make it easy to get started today. Call now or go to sonobello.com for your free personalized consultation. It's your life. Live it beautifully.
Stop. Check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
Spring. Things out here have gotten a little too comfortable. It's time to run it. Run it until the grass becomes a lawn. Until the hedges duck for cover. Then run it again. Right now, save $30 on select trimmers. Steel.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis? With fewer symptoms from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, where would you go? Imagine being a million miles away. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. And for adults with active psoriatic arthritis, Tremfya goes beyond the skin. Less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. And Tremfya even reduced fatigue. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. 2 Jewish lesbians learning the hard truth about the woke left. Literally thrown out of an LGBTQ spa in Spain after one of the owners simply saw their Star of David necklace. Watch this.
Zionist person. The question is not Jewish, it's Zionist.
They're kind of the same thing.
Not really.
No, I'm allowed to. Well, you ask me questions, I can hold my phone up.
No, don't push me out.
No one pushed you.
Are you seriously kidding?
We don't condone genocide.
We don't either.
Free Palestine, please leave. You gotta be kidding me. Free Palestine, please leave.
Bold Spanish lesbian screaming free Palestine as she kicks somebody out of her business. Welcome to 2026. The worst part of that, and again, just so you know, this is 2 Jewish lesbians trying to go to a gay spa and getting thrown out because they're Jewish and they had the Star of David on. So they didn't pass the litmus test. I'm sure they're very liberal women too, and they still couldn't pass the litmus test to be in there. The worst part though was the groveling, right? Oh no, we're not Zionists. Oh yeah, free Palestine. It's saying things that are just so inherently against their own interests to try and be accepted to this crappy spa. Liberal Jews in the West got to wake up very soon. The left has really big plans for them, and they're showing them more and more every day. Next up, MS Now host Ali Velshi giving his take on America's upcoming 250th anniversary. Kenyan-born Canadian citizen insinuating Americans should have conflicting feelings about celebrating the birthday of our nation. He's not an American. Take a listen.
Anniversaries often gloss over the racial dynamics underlying much of America's history and politics, issues that remain unsolved because America has never actually fully reckoned with its racist past and its original founding sin of slavery. There is a deep unease about this. I feel a deep unease about these celebrations because this 250th anniversary is taking place during yet another period of deep and fundamental and existential unrest in this country.
Manufactured mostly by you and the people that work at your network, by the way. And again, if you have such a problem with it, it can go somewhere else. Why not? And finally, Dr. Jill Biden still continuing the media tour for this book that I can't imagine many people will read, claiming that her husband Joe had no choice but to go back on his word and pardon Hunter for his convictions on federal gun and tax charges.
Joe said in the beginning, I won't pardon Hunter. And then
Don't
the
say that.
Justice Department changed. And I think that the process was not fair to Hunter. But then when Trump was elected, things changed. And we knew that he would target Hunter. And we just could not let our son go to jail on a charge. I mean, no one has ever gone to jail for.
Wait, a charge no one has ever gone to jail for? Did she really say that? Think about all of that in the context of Donald Trump, who was targeted by Joe Biden. We tried to put Trump in jail. We couldn't let him do that to Hunter, says Jill Biden. Why Pride Month will never end. Up next.
Closed captioning brought to you by MagnaLife Pain and Inflammation Relief Roll-On.
Your muscle and joint inflammation is real. Here's what real customers are saying about MagnaLife Pain and Inflammation Relief Roll-On. It worked great.
Available at your local retailer.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America by Americans with American materials.
We're proud to create jobs right here in South Carolina. It might not be the easiest way, but it's the right way.
We make American flags the way they should be made, where they should be made.
Join our pledge to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Mike Hammond of Signal Relief. We've helped nearly 700,000 feel relief in their back, shoulders, and knees with our technology. But for many of us, it's our feet that hurt. And when they hurt, our walks get shorter, activities are skipped, and the moments we love start slipping away. That's why we created the Signal Step, a patent-pending insole built using the same proven technology people already trust from Signal Relief. Signal uses no drugs. There's nothing on the market like it. It's relief without the side effects. It's reusable, fits virtually into any shoe, and in a recent study, over 85% felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Feel relief with every step. If you're hurting, go to signalstep.com and get relief today.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax? I like it too. Newsmax, you like Newsmax? I like it too.
It's true. Millions of Americans agree with President Trump, and they're switching to Newsmax. They're watching great shows with Greta, Carl Higbie, Rob Schmitt, Finnerty, and more. If you're tired of big media, start watching Newsmax. It's free to start. Go to newsmaxplus.com for immediate access. Get all of President Trump's most important events live. Imagine watching Mike Huckabee's Israel Report, our Melania documentary, Clint Eastwood, Charlie Kirk specials, even the movie Jesus of Nazareth by Franco Zeffirelli. Once you start Newsmax Plus, you won't stop. So try it for free. Go to newsmaxplus.com, then download the app. It's easy. So make the switch to Newsmax Plus today.
And finally tonight, it is June 1st. Pride Month has begun. A month where the loudest, most visible, most flamboyant pretend to be unseen and oppressed. The media loves it.
That was an amazing performance by Pride Salsa.
Dancing is a form of resistance and liberation, and especially as queer bodies dancing together.
Life looks pretty different these days for married couple Dragon and Kevin. In 2021, they purchased this 27-acre Virginia farm and created Gardening Gaze Farm.
And on and on and on we go. The left now forced to make up ridiculous stories to keep the oppression grift going on this, like the San Francisco Chronicle talking about the upcoming World Cup, calling it a challenge for soccer fans from around the world interested in coming here, and the fundamental issue of whether they'll feel safe when they're in the United States being gay. Because, of course, with Trump in the White House, we're just hunting gay people here in the U.S. with our government-issued AK-47s. There is an NGO offering up Pride houses as a safe space for gay fans. By the way, the last World Cup was in Qatar, where it's actually illegal to be gay. There is no more oppression on this, but just like the race grift, Bill Spadia, this will never end, and we will watch Pride Month continue on through the eons.
I'm just thinking of the tolerant left and the two Jewish lesbians getting thrown out of the spa. I mean, just...
It's a perfect story.
Absurd.
Take it away.
Thanks, Rob.
Ahead.
Good to see you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.